Hello.
Hello. Is anyone out there?
It's a mom's night out.
Today we are coming to you from Brooklyn, New York with the beautiful creative genius, Gina Esposito. Gina has always been a lover of the ocean. Growing up as a competitive swimmer and ocean lifeguard, swimming was her happy. Gina attended the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City and worked in the fashion industry for 9 years before launching her label, New Swim, in 2015. From the beginning, Gina has been committed to sourcing sustainable materials, using local factories, and creating a product inclusive of all body types. In 2021, Gina expanded her entrepreneur footprint, opening Tangerine, a Brooklyn storefront, offering a combination of coming of age, New Swim, and fabulous one-off finds. Tangerine has caught the attention of some of the biggest names in fashion. As Vogue put it so eloquently, it's nearly impossible to leave empty-handed. Hi. We're in Brooklyn at your apartment.
I know, this is crazy.
I'm so excited.
It's crazy that you're here.
Talk about how beautiful this apartment is, first of all.
No, I might never leave. I already have a suitcase here, so I might just stay.
I think it's hard for us as like moms because we live in like chaos with like toys and there's just so much stuff. And you have this like peaceful, serene space.
It's very calming.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm preparing to maybe have a child in 5 years, so I'll keep it serene for now.
Soak it all in. Soak it all in.
No, it's great. I want to move in. Okay, so for those who don't know, Gina and I met, I think, in 2007.
Probably.
Yeah. And we have a mutual friend. So it was your best friend from home.
Mm-hmm.
And my best friend from college. And she was like, I was living in San Francisco at the time, and you were thinking about moving to San Francisco.
Correct.
And we decided to meet out as any, early 20-year-old would. And I think we went to see like a funk band in the Mission at,
what was that bar called? They're closed now.
They are. I mean, probably because they let people like smoke inside.
Yes. And I was just, yes, probably. I was just visiting because I was checking out San Francisco to see if this was maybe the move for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I just like, so I was reflecting in anticipation of this episode. I was like reflecting back to like all my like wonderful thoughts and memories of you. And so I walked in, I was there with a guy, and I think you were with a guy. And I walk in and you're like dancing and we were like embracing and it just felt so natural. But also I was like, how cool is this woman who's like moving here? And she already knew about this like cool funk band. And like from that day forward, we ended up shortly thereafter getting an apartment together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And it was amazing.
Yes, we were roommates for a few years.
Yeah.
And we had a 4-bedroom house and a backyard.
Yeah.
That crazy backyard that it
was amazing in a city yeah. But you've always been like this like visionary and this like person that like I feel like people gravitate towards you, and you always are like radiating like light and brilliance. And so anyways, I'm so excited. Thank you for coming on this podcast.
That's really sweet. Thank you. I feel the same about you.
And like your apartment is reflecting that, by the way.
Yeah. Jen speaks very highly of you, so we're super excited to sit with you today.
Yeah.
Thank you all for being here. I'm excited.
So, we heard in the intro that you have this, you've spent your career in fashion industry. So what made you get your start into fashion? Like what drew you into it?
I always enjoyed clothing, and originally when I went to school, I really wanted to become an interior designer. My grandfather is an architect, and I think he kind of instilled architecture, as you know, into our brains from a very young age. And I feel like interior design and architecture obviously kind of go together. And so I became very interested in interiors, but I always wanted to become an interior designer and also like maybe become a fashion designer or someone in fashion on the side of interior design. And then when I ended up going to school for interior design, I didn't love it. And, in the back of my mind, I was always thinking fashion. So, and photography as well is another interest of mine. So I decided to leave the school I was at, which was Savannah College of Art and Design, and moved back to New York, and I got into FIT for fashion design and submitted a portfolio and got in, luckily. And then spent 2 years there. And then, yeah, I mean, I think I just always had an interest in the arts, and because my family was just very in the arts, and I grew up in New York, so we were at museums every weekend, and fashion kind of intertwined with me somehow. And then I started working in the industry after school with corporate design jobs, which was a blessing and a curse. A blessing being I learned so much in corporate design. It just made me a very organized person, which I'm known not to be. I literally got most disorganized as my senior superlative in high school. Yes, that was a superlative.
Organized? That's kind of mean.
Yeah, that is mean. You would think it would be, who got most organized, right? You're like, imagine being...
I don't remember who, but no, Steg was randomly like, she was like organized, but not like type A. I don't know.
You gotta pull out this yearbook.
Yeah,
You're gonna have to find it.
Honestly, I don't have it, but my mom, I'm sure if I called her right now, she would be here in 5 minutes and bring it over for us. She would be obsessed with
Can you
this.
also just, for the listeners who maybe don't know, what is corporate design?
Okay, so corporate design, I'm basically saying working for a corporation. Like, for instance, my last job was at Levi's.
Okay.
And my first job, I was working for a licensing company for children's wear. So they licensed brands like Sean John, I was a designer for Sean John Kids. And they licensed other brands like Izod and Nautica and some Calvin Klein suits for kids and things like that. Yeah. So corporate design, meaning not an independent design house, like with the owner being there and maybe 3 designers and an intern or something like that. And having a proper salary and health insurance and all that stuff.
All the things
which
that
is
you
common,
don't have.
right? Which is more common now, but back in the early 2000s, it was not, and interns were not being paid. And I don't know if they are now, but
that actually kind of sparked my thing. Like, I'm an outsider to the fashion world, and when you said fashion interns, all I could think of was like The Devil Wears Prada. Right. So like being an outsider to fashion, I feel like you so often hear that you have to pay your dues. Like, is that true? Like, what's the craziest story if that is true?
I would say when I was an intern, am I like allowed to say brands I interned for?
I think so.
I mean, I guess it was literally in 2005 or 4, so who cares? And I'm sure the company is very different now, but I was an intern at Michael Kors, and which was actually a very big company. Like they had a few floors in a building. Like it was a corporation. It still is. But it was still Michael Kors at that time. So it was exciting. You're working for like this big designer, and he was there all the time and whatnot. But I don't have that many crazy stories of being an intern, but that job was, you go in, you're kind of like, what am I doing? And they make you just kind of run around the garment district and go to fabric stores and cut fabric swatches.
Really?
Because they're like preparing for the runway show or something. So they're just making one-off garments for the runway shows that will eventually go into production and be made, hopefully, if they're bought. But so I was mainly running around the garment district, fabric swatching, and sometimes I would get coffee during that run. I would have to, I don't even remember. It was so long ago. Oh man, it was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah. Isn't that insane to think about?
Crazy.
I know. We keep saying that. We're like, whoa, we're starting to get old.
Starting to get old.
We're getting old.
Okay, so that kind of leads me to my question. We did an episode on Mean Girls, and, I think the fashion industry is known for having that Devil Wears Prada mentality and Mean Girl. Is that true? And did you ever encounter Mean Girls? And if you did, how did you deal with that?
Well, so my first job that I was paid for, I had a salary and whatnot, at Sean John Kids. I definitely experienced, I wouldn't call it Mean Girls. I would call it moody, but I don't think it was their fault.
They were maybe hungry. We don't know.
I think like their experience with what Above was telling them, and they weren't telling us, was affecting their mood. And I would definitely get, I would get there at 9:15 in the morning. And if I was there at 9:15, there'd be an email like, you need to be here at 9.
Oh my gosh.
And I was there every night till 2 in the morning, just
kidding.
Yeah, like it was really, really intense. And mostly it was like 2007 when I worked there. So Sean John's known for prints, and I'd be printing, we'd do all these graphic prints that were just like crazy. And in 2007, computers aren't as advanced, and I would be like designing these prints, and we'd have to print them for these meetings, and the printing would take forever because it was just like not how it is now. And I don't even think we had laser printers then. I don't know.
Gosh.
Gen Z
You're really
aging
aging
like,
us.
what is a printer?
So, there were just moments where you were working so hard and you kind of didn't know what you were doing at the same time.
Yeah.
And your work, you didn't feel like you were appreciated at work, even though you were there till 2 in the morning every night and doing the work completely on time and in a timely manner. But I think you're also learning. So people get frustrated with you because you kind of don't know what you're doing at the same time. And then like classic Mean Girls, if you're talking about like Kelly Catrona, People's Revolution, like in the hills, like that kind of person. Which you could bleep out her name if you want. But
Also
I've definitely, I've experienced people like that, but because I think, and when I worked at Levi's, I had an amazing job. I loved my team. Everyone was so nice and wonderful, and that was great. But once I started my own business, yes, I've experienced people like that person.
Yeah.
But because I have a business, I now don't care, like if someone's vibe is just completely bitchy fashion person,
you're all set.
don't subscribe. Yeah, I'm all set. Exactly. Like I don't need
don't
to subscribe to it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Don't subscribe.
And I don't need to, which is amazing that I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And I think also like, because in my experience, yes, I've witnessed and experienced what you're saying, Mean Girls. I never wanted to be like that. So the way we work at New Swim and Tangerine it's like a family, like I'm like, how can I help you out so that you help me? I don't want my experience having my company having resentment or it's like, what is our job? Like our job is like making clothing. It's so cool that we get to do this for a living. Like what's the point of
not being happy?
Yeah, we can be moody and frustrated and have bad moods and go through things in our lives. But like, what's at work? What's the point of
dream job?
Like we're doing like making clothing, it's so fun.
We're going to move in and we're all going to come work for you.
I know. That's amazing. I think a true testament to you as a leader, right? Yeah. So that's trickling down, but that's so important because I don't know that everyone has that mentality.
When they have the opportunity, the power position to like, set that tone. So this is a great segue. Okay. So you mentioned your swimwear line. So how did you know that you wanted to create a swimsuit line?
So I am a swimmer. I grew up swimming my whole life. My dad was a very good swimmer. I didn't grow up with my dad, but he grew up swimming. And when I was born, he put me in the ocean right away. And, that was just instilled in my life. And my family that I grew up with, my mom's side, loves the beach. I'm from Long Island. So we were at the beach every moment we could in our lives. My mom put me in swim school very early on. And I just love water. And I don't remember like the moment I remember loving water. I think it was just always there. And I always just loved the beach and being there and swimming. And I mean, who doesn't love the water? I don't know. Some people
my
don't.
happy place. The beach is my happy place.
Yeah, for sure.
So you guys got it.
Yeah.
Especially you grew up in Cape Cod. And I became a designer. And when I was kind of unhappy at my corporate job, my last one, which was Levi's, which loved the job, but kind of felt like I wanted to do something else. And I always knew I wanted to do my own thing, but didn't really like know how I could do that with no money. And it seemed really daunting, especially in clothing. There's a lot of money you need to put into it. There are a lot of components on the garments that you need to consider. Like jeans, like thread, buttons, zipper, the zipper cord, like it just, there's so many finishing, pocket bags, rivets, and there's a million aspects to a garment.
I can't imagine.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
never think of those things.
we have
Never had
M&O
that
hats,
thought.
and we laugh about the mishap that we had with the hat. But even just designing a small hat
Yeah.
was a lot. So I can't imagine designing a garment.
Yeah. Like think about how many components are in the hat. Like inside the brim, there's the stabilizer and the back piece, and there's just so many
Things
the
that you
button
don't
thing
think
on
of
top.
when you
and-
put it on. I mean, you must think of it every time you put something on your head or on your body.
Yeah. So I was kind of unhappy at my job, and I knew I wanted to do something else and for myself. And I was kind of working on my portfolio. Maybe I would apply to a new job. And I eventually, while I was designing my portfolio, I realized, because while I was designing the portfolio, I was like, oh, maybe I'll make a collection and make a small collection. And then when I started thinking about the components, I'm like, whoa, this is just too much. And I have $0. So there's no way this can happen. But every time I was designing my portfolio, I always had swimwear in the portfolio. And eventually one day I remember the moment I was sitting on my couch, laying on my couch, the lights were off. And I literally had a light bulb moment where I was like, wait, why don't I make swimwear? I feel like this could be an easier segue into my own worlds as a designer. So after work every day, instead of that, at 3:00 at work, when you're working for someone else, you're like, oh, I'm going to go home and do all this stuff. And before, when I was designing my portfolio and I was at work, I was like, I'm going to go home and make all this clothing. And then I would get home and I'd be like, hell no, I'm cooking dinner and I'm good. But when I thought of the swimwear aspect, I was coming home after work every single day, pattern making. It just seemed a little bit, I don't want to use the word easier, but it did seem a little easier for me to kind of get into and achieve, because there are less components. It's fabric, there's rubber, there's thread, and then there are trims. So you have to make like spaghetti strap out of fabric and rubber and thread, so it's like a little bit easier to kind of achieve like your goal, and you can focus on the fit, which I think is very important in swimwear.
Oh yeah.
So that happened, and then there was a big layoff at Levi's, and I was part of it, and I'd already started developing the brand a little bit. And when the layoff happened, I just kind of like went full force into this idea, and I started talking to factories and really making samples and fabric shopping. It was really exciting. I had time off. I had a severance. I had my vacation pay paid out, and I was able to just like live for a little while and kind of figure that out.
It's amazing.
And
the
then
universe sort of propelled you into your idea.
Yeah.
Almost, right?
I like that. Yes.
I know we talk a lot about like just our journey of like starting the podcast. Like you have this idea and there's so much that can get in the way of like, no. So like just getting started, like if you look back, like what was the most difficult thing about just starting?
What was the most difficult thing about starting? I think those roadblocks, like I mentioned, like wanting to have a collection of clothing. And I guess like when I was in the swimwear brain, when I started actually like doing the swimwear part of it, before launching, I don't know. I think the hardest part is money, and then also wondering if people will like it.
Yeah.
And will it actually take? And it was 2015. So how am I going to even market this? Like I didn't know anything about business. So that also was very complicated and weird.
Like building a whole entire brand. Like there's also like there's the design component, and then it's the whole
business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I have this product, swimwear, and now it's like, oh, I gotta actually now
show the people, and get out there.
Like, it's huge.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
a lot of hats to wear.
It is a lot, but I love doing all the things and figuring all that stuff out. So luckily for me, it was really exciting to jump into all of that.
You're a true entrepreneur.
Yeah, like growing up, I like loved going to my mom's office and like using the highlighter and like print on that crazy printer. Remember that big printer machine thing with the stripes?
Yes.
And like I
Do they
love
still
that
have
stuff.
those?
I don't know. You know what that
Probably not.
was? Was it a fax machine? I don't know.
I
don't know what it was.
Okay, so was there a moment, I think we were talking about this with some of our other interviews, was there a moment where, like, did you have overnight success, or has this been a long play journey in hard work or grit? So many people have different answers. So what was your experience with that?
I think because I was in the industry for a bit, and luckily in design worlds, Instagram existed, and that was a visual platform. I don't know if I would say it completely took off right away, but I did have orders on the first day I launched the website, which is
that's
wild.
huge.
And I think back to the first website and I'm like, oh my God, but it's fine. But I mean, I had connections with some stores, and there was people kind of knew, like I had was friendly with some store owners, and people kind of knew I was working on something. And when I launched, someone from a store reached out pretty much right away, and that store was a pretty like well-known store in the independent store world. So once they launched our collection at the store, like a lot of other stores heard about it and wanted the brand. And within that first 6 months, it kind of randomly took off.
Wow.
And, I had a freelance job at the time, and I was able to quit like pretty much right away, or I didn't extend my contract.
That's
pretty much right away.
That is amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah. Not that I was, and I was still working alone at that time. And then I hired my employee Fennis, who's been working with me since, for 8.5 years. I hired her like 1 day a week, and then eventually she gained more hours. But, yeah, I don't know. It was very organic, and it still is really organic. Like we've never taken investment money, but
wow,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. But I think I honestly, like, I don't want to like downplay myself, but I do think it was a lot of luck as well. I think we started at a really good time. 2015, like we were aiming to be kind of this cool independent swimwear brand that was beautiful and simple, and align with a lot of the brands that we really loved and still love at this time. And we were the only brand kind of coming into that space that was a swimwear brand,
Yeah.
So I think it kind of caught the eye of a lot of really incredible people and artists and just people of all likes, but it also is a very functional brand. It's not just like this very specific brand for a specific person. So then eventually it like grew naturally from there. Yeah.
I just want to like highlight some of the publications and different areas that have picked you up. It is pretty impressive. I mean, you've had Vogue, Harper's Bazar, Instyle, Women's Wear Daily, Strategist, New York Times. Like we could go on, and like
you're a big deal.
You're a big deal. Like I think she's just like, what kind of happened? But like, that's incredible.
I know. And by the way, like you are a big deal, and meeting you are so lovely and genuine, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
very
cool. Oh my God.
It's very refreshing.
You too, all of you.
It's very refreshing because I mean, even just taking the time out of your day to sit with us, we're so appreciative of that.
Okay. Also, she made this the most lovely breakfast.
We should talk about that.
I should. It was unreal.
I know. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys. Thank you for saying that. That's really
point.
sweet.
But I just wanted to like put that in there because you weren't going to say those things.
I know. No, but I do so admire you, and I just love that you've held true to like the things that you're passionate for. And I think that shows through too in like your line, because you've really, the things in your core value is like sustainability, using local factories. And has that been, and that's, from my experience looking on, that's really held true in your product that you've developed. So has that been like a hard line to hold as you've grown and expanded?
I would say no. Has it been a hard line to hold? No, it's something I really believe in, and we're never gonna shift away from that. The one thing that I would say could eventually get difficult is the manufacturing industry in New York and the United States is obviously diminishing for many reasons. One, minimum wage is really high, which is wonderful, but it makes it really difficult for factories to keep their employees on and pay rent. And, you know, they still don't charge enough because everything costs so much here.
Yeah.
And also the manufacturing companies, most of the people who work at the factories and run the factories are past retirement age. So someone our age isn't going to really take on that work. So eventually when they finally actually retire, like our factory, he's past retirement age and he's retired, but he just does it because he loves it. And we're his biggest client now and he loves us and wants to make sure we have a place to make our stuff.
Wow.
I know it's really sweet, but also, you know, that's a complicated thing too. We love them so much, but so that's another aspect. So and right now, like the building is being sold at my factory, so he might have to move in May, and that's really soon. And we want to help them find a new place. And where can you find rent that cheap? And you know, it's very, that part of it is really complicated. So there are things that we have to think about, like, do we have to eventually move our manufacturing to Portugal or something like that, which would be really sad because I really love supporting the community and also being really close by. And I love having a relationship like that with my factory. I love going into his office and chit chatting and, you know, seeing everything all the time. It's so like exhilarating. I don't know. I love that part of the job.
I feel like that's so important to talk about because when you're buying clothing, I think it could be, you know, everyone gets so fixated on the price, but they don't look at the process that goes into it, right? Like these are your designs, you're manufacturing it. There's this whole process that the consumer doesn't think of. And so I don't know. I think that's helpful even to me as I'm shopping and thinking about brands like yours that really support local communities. Yeah. I mean, that's everything, right?
Yeah. And they're all immigrants too. So, you know, that is also you know, I'm supporting that as well and supporting them being here. And it would be really sad if they closed down. I know. They're amazing. They're really amazing. And we also we have a collection of organic cotton knitwear and ready to wear as well. But so we have a few factories actually, and we do sweaters too. But like we have our main factory, which does all our swimwear and our knits, and they're incredible. And all the knits are from North Carolina, all organic cotton, grown like in the best way. And the guy who runs that company is this old like New York Garmento guy, and he's amazing. And then we have another factory in Manhattan that does all of our ready-to-wear organic cotton pieces. And then we have a sweater factory in Queens.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
That knits all of our merino sweaters. And it's so, everything is so close by. It's incredible. And, you know, I just don't think people our age are going to be manufacturing anymore. It's really sad.
And people are definitely not paying attention.
No.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's fun.
Like that, it's good to hear like your support network of like all of your vendors, I guess you would call them.
Yeah.
And you know, we talk a lot about like our village of, you know, moms and working moms and just like incredible, inspiring women like yourself. Like who has been in your circle, like helping to push you? Like, do you have a
crew?
Yeah.
I mean, a village. Definitely my mom. She took on our bookkeeping, which is wild. No, and she's not a bookkeeper. It's a whole, she's
very business minded though.
Yeah, she's just incredible. Can't help herself too. You know, she loves me and I love her too. Hi mom. And
sweet. That's really sweet.
Yeah, she's definitely like her and my team, like Fennis and Maya are an absolutely incredible team. We've been through a lot together, and especially Fennis and I. And now it's really nice because our job roles are very streamlined and we're able to like really focus, whereas we were kind of jack of all trades before. So my team is a huge support, and all my friends, I don't know. And my friends are incredible. I have such an incredible team of friends who we do something for New Swimmer Tangerine and they always show up, and people are always asking if we need help with anything, like our collaborators, like people we work with, like everyone is just so supportive. And it's really, even like customers, oh my God, the customers, and just like taking their time out of their day to send a nice email or message on Instagram about like how much they loved the fit of their swimsuit or how good they feel in it. Like I just all of that, just like,
love that.
you know,
I'm
such
like
a,
hoping we have time because I would really
I know.
enjoy to go get a swimsuit.
Well, so
we're gonna make it happen.
That's a great segue. So on top of your swimwear line, you also own a store, Tangerine, in Brooklyn, which, you know, I do commercial real estate, so I know how much goes into having a store. That's incredible. And we can't wait to go there after this interview.
yes.
Talk to us about how the store came about.
So we opened about 2.5 years ago, and my friend Amanda, who has a brand as well, her brand is called Coming of Age. We met during the pandemic. I was a customer of hers, or we were customers of each other, and I bought something from her and asked her if I could pick it up, and she was like, oh, I'll come drop it off at your studio. I'd love to like meet you. And she came into the studio and we just hit it off and fell in love and just kind of became friends. And we did a pop-up together with 2 other friends that summer, July 2020, like very bizarre times.
Doesn't that feel like ages ago, by the way?
It was
wild.
And her and I just really like always connected, and kind of after the pop-up we had for the month, we kind of kept talking about maybe we should open a store. It's kind of a good time. Like everything's closed, like all the stores are open and rent is cheap, but will COVID end? You know, we had no idea. And it's always been a dream of me and my teams to open a store, a multi-brand store too. It wasn't just, we never just wanted to open a new swim store. We always wanted to have like a multifaceted store that kind of worked with swimming. And we used to carry third-party goods on the website as well, on New Swim's website. And so Amanda and I kind of just, our vibe was good, and we connected over, you know, wanting to have a store. And we eventually started looking spring 2021, and we found a few spaces that were cool, and then nothing felt totally right. And then we finally found our current space, which you'll see. Very luckily, so Amanda, it used to be a wine shop, and Amanda used to go in there with her dog a lot. So everyone knows her dog. And the owner of the store, it was Amanda's birthday, and the owner of the store was like, oh, let's have a glass of champagne for your birthday. And then while they were having a glass of champagne, she said, do you know anyone who needs a space? We're leaving our lease.
Wow.
No.
And she was like, wait, yes, this is the perfect thing. We wanted a corner spot. We wanted big sidewalks. We wanted to be able to sit outside and have space for an office in the back. And
Wow.
so she texted me, and that was it. We just put in a really low offer, and we're like, what are we doing? And that was in June 2021.
Wow.
Signed all the paperwork, notary, all that stuff. And then July, I was in Sweden the whole month, and I was sending floor plans to our friend Aaron, who did the build out. And August, he set aside for us. Did the build out all of August, and we opened in September. It was like kind of crazy, but the bones were already there in the store, and we didn't like do an extraordinary renovation or anything, but we had to buy stuff for the store, which was really chaotic. Getting things in the store. Luckily, we have brands, so we had clothing, and luckily people were super stoked to kind of be involved with Tangerine, and naming the store was a whole process. We went through every word in the dictionary. Like, it was like
how did that come about?
We were thinking about just weird, funny words, and then we kind of had this whole like fruit and vegetable theme at one point, and we went through literally every single fruit and vegetable you could ever imagine.
Asparagus.
We're like, that just doesn't
Not
work.
a broccoli store.
Yeah. And then somehow like citrus fruits came on the docket, and we're like, grapefruit, you know, nothing worked. And then I never think about tangerines. I don't know why. Do you eat tangerines? I don't know. No. Anyway.
I love the name so much.
Yeah, such a good name.
And finally one day, I think it was my idea. I don't remember. I don't want to take credit. Amanda, maybe it was your idea. Maybe it was mine. I don't remember. And it just clicked. And I had seen this cover of a really old book from I don't remember when it was from, but it had this really cool logo on the cover of the book. And the way our logo is, the G was was the G on the book, and I fell super in love with that logo, and I was like, we need a G in this word.
Yeah.
And it just worked. And so basically, Amanda's from Miami. I have a swimwear brand, and citrus fruit are seasonal in the winter. So we kind of wanted to bridge fruit in the winter, like having this like summery feeling in the winter.
Yeah.
And the word tangerine kind of like brought that like joy and like light to winter for us. And that was kind of encompassed.
Yeah.
And both of our brands are very like joyful and
it's funny you say joy, because that is, you think
is.
joyful, a tangerine,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it makes
diving
you
into
smile.
it.
yeah.
So funny.
And also the G logo is kind of like a tangerine peel if you think about it. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like a fun little, you know.
It all just
yeah.
fell in place. I cannot wait to go visit.
I know. We're very excited.
Yeah.
Should we put Gina on the hot seat for some fun questions?
Yeah,
Sure.
let's
Let's do it.
Okay. I mean, it is morning right now, so obviously we are drinking water, coffee, tea. But like, what is your drink of choice? And it doesn't have to be alcoholic. It can be non-alcoholic too.
Can I choose 4?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
I love that.
I love liquids.
Like to be hydrated.
First, shout out to water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love water.
I need to drink more of that.
Yeah. I love a bitters and soda when I'm not drinking alcohol at a bar or out with friends. I also love a mezcal. Mezcal rocks. And I love like a really tart, acidic red wine, like a lighter, medium bodied red wine.
Okay.
Very solid answers.
Yeah,
I know.
you really knew what you like.
I saw that question and I was like,
Easy answer.
It's not a one drink answer, but
yes.
I know what it is.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, you're so busy, and I just can't even imagine all the things you do in a day. Do you have any hobbies?
I do. Like I said earlier, my company's wheels are now turning in a really nice way after 9 years. So I'm able to take care of myself now, which is great. So I love, I mean, I don't know if these are considered hobbies, but they are to me.
Yeah.
Or rituals, whatever. I always go for a walk in the morning. And I walk on Halsey Street, and I love Halsey Street, and it's such a beautiful street, and it just makes me so happy. I try to go swimming as much as possible. I have a pool nearby that I go to, the YMCA in Bed-Stuy. I love cooking. I love going to the farmer's market in the middle of the week and buying random foods. I'm a very random person and spontaneous person, so I love driving to the beach in the winter, or during street cleaning in the morning, I'll drive to Rockaway Beach and like drive back. Like just things like that. Yeah. Or like, I love taking the subway to like the Bronx and picking a random neighborhood to walk around in or something to see, like, just like New York is so exciting. There's so much to do. So it's very easy to have a million hobbies here. I love reading. I love seeing movies. Like, I'll go see a movie in the middle of the day, sometimes on a weekday.
Wait, I love these answers.
Yeah,
and
like my office is right next to this amazing movie theater, so I'll just like pop into the theater once in a while if I feel like it. You know?
And you started off describing your hobbies as taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Which is like such a good message for all of us to be like, wait, take a break, take like a deep breath.
Yeah, calm down.
Like, your day is busy, of course, and you're juggling so many things, especially you've got your line and your store, but like add in some things that bring you joy and like calm. And that's like such a good message.
Yeah, it only just makes the entire day better and your workload better. And you know, if I need to go see an inspiring movie in the middle of the day that visually will like blow my mind and inspire me, then I can do that. And that's so cool that I get to do that.
That is so cool.
And yeah,
we're in this grind culture right now. And so I think that's an important message to be heard. Take care of yourself, take the break.
Yeah.
And by the way, you just described it as inspiration, right? So you're not just going to a movie during the day. You're being inspired.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Yeah.
To take those moments.
Take advantage of, I mean, it's an incredible privilege. So, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question, I think. If you were to give your younger 20-something-year-old self some advice, what would it be? I think that maybe patience is
what I would give my 20-year-old self advice, or that sentence is weird, but I think patience is, maybe you've all experienced this. Patience is everything. Timing and patience is everything. And gosh, what else?
I feel like that's solid.
Right? I think that's really good. Yeah.
Especially for like business owners and entrepreneurs. Like, it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
It doesn't just happen overnight. I mean, you said 9 years and you're finally just like,
it's the long game.
It's the long game. We live in this world with TikTok and overnight success, and that's not how it works.
No, you gotta definitely put the work in.
Yeah. And you got to put the work in. Yeah. Patience is it also, like, learning how to be patient is completely other topic.
We'll have an episode on that someday.
That seriously.
Teach us your secrets.
Good. Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting us in, making us a beautiful breakfast.
Oh my gosh.
But having us into your home, and
I am so calm right now.
Me too. You radiate calmness, so you are doing something
your
right.
Your vibe is like so amazing.
Good.
We need to channel more of that.
Yeah. I think what you guys are doing is incredible, especially being moms must be. I was thinking about this the other day. I have a few mom friends in New York in the city too, which is like wild to me. But I was thinking the other day how, like, one of my best friends is a mom of a 10-year-old, and she is so busy with her own life, and it's so inspiring. I'm like, I feel like once you become a mom, you can kind of do anything. Like, it's so cool that you guys all have these incredible jobs. You're doing this podcast. You have children. You have a lot of children. You have like family members. Also, I'm sure besides having children, I'm sure there's like a million things you have to do every weekend for these children. And like there's schedules and your partner schedules and your family schedules.
You've taken
and, like,
the calmness away now.
Not to stress you out what you're going back to later. But I think it's incredible that moms exist and that you are alive and you look amazing and sitting on my couch, like, just doing this. It's really amazing.
It's fun.
You should be proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, thank you.
Thank you
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.